You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Feel like who art Ed?
Try to slice it.
Who art is Mr. Wood, art Ed me?
Good. Either way, it's ambiguous. It works on so many levels.
I know.
That's off to a great start.
Welcome to Who Arted, weekly art history for all ages. I'm your host, Kyle Wood, and today we're looking at Joan Miró, a painter, sculptor, and ceramicist whose unique vision carved a distinct path through Fauvism, Cubism, and Surrealism, ultimately becoming something entirely his own. Joan Miró was born on April 20th, 1893, in the bustling port city of Barcelona, the heart of Catalonia, Spain. His father, Miguel Miró Azarias, was a goldsmith and watchmaker, a man of craft and precision. His mother, Dolores Ferra y Oromi, came from a family of cabinet makers in Mallorca, another island landscape that would later become central to Miró's world. From an early age, Juan wasn't destined for the family trade. While his parents initially pushed him towards a more practical path, enrolling him in business school in 1907, the young Miró's true passion lay elsewhere. He simultaneously took classes at Barcelona's La Llotja School of Fine Arts, the same institution where a young Picasso had studied. But the conflict between commerce and creativity took a toll. He had a serious bout of typhoid fever, and some say that physical illness was coupled with a bit of a nervous breakdown stemming from his internal struggle over what path to pursue in his life. He needed a change. His family sent him to recuperate at a family farm they had recently purchased near the small Catalan village of Mont-roig del Camp. This move proved pivotal. The raw, sun-baked landscape, the insects buzzing in the heat, the gnarled olive trees, the cycles of rural life. This direct contact with nature and the Catalan earth imprinted itself deeply into Miró. It was here, away from the pressures of the city and commerce, that he committed himself to becoming a painter. Mont-roig, he later declared, quote, was the place that taught me everything, end quote. Returning to Barcelona, Miró enrolled in Escola d'Art run by Francesc Gali. And Gali was an unconventional teacher who encouraged his students to draw by touch while blindfolded, fostering a deeper, multisensory understanding of form. He introduced Miró to contemporary European movements, the vibrant, shocking colors of fauves like Matisse and Derain, the fractured perspectives of Cubism pioneered by Picasso and Braque. Miró absorbed these influences, experimenting voraciously. His early works from this period show a clear engagement with these styles. Bold landscapes and portraits rendered in Fauvist palettes and Cubist structures, yet already hinting at a unique decorative sensibility and a connection to Catalan folk art and Romanesque frescoes with their flat planes and strong outlines. He joined the Courbet Group, a circle of young, rebellious artists eager to shake up the Barcelona art scene. Like many ambitious artists of his generation, Miró felt drawn to Paris, Europe's undisputed capital of the avant-garde. He made his first trip in 1920, armed with introductions including one to the fellow Spaniard Pablo Picasso. Picasso was already a towering figure in the art scene at that point, and he recognized Miró's talent, even bought one of his paintings, and offered encouragement. This was a significant boost for any newcomer. The initial years in Paris were a struggle, though. Miró lived in extreme poverty, often having only a few dried figs to eat each day. He famously described how these periods of intense hunger induced vivid hallucinations, which he would later capture on canvas. He split his time between Paris in the winters and Mont-roig in the summers. During one of these summer stays, he created a masterpiece that marked a transition. It was a piece called The Farm from 1921-22. The painting depicts the family farm with an almost obsessive detail, cataloging every element, the animals, the tools, the plants, the texture of the soil. Yet, for all the detail, it doesn't feel like a realistic representation of the farm. There's a flatness, a clarity, and a mix of perspectives. There's a slightly magical quality to the arrangement of objects that, in hindsight, feels like he was developing what we now know as his signature style. Ernest Hemingway later bought the painting after a friendly bidding war with the poet Evan Shipman. Reportedly, they rolled dice for it. But Hemingway, who was, let's face it, a better wordsmith than me, described it like this. He said, quote, "It has in it all that you feel about Spain when you are there, and all that you feel when you're away and cannot go there," end quote. The farm was not just Miró's farewell to realism, it was also a declaration of his deep connection to his roots. Back in Paris, Miró gravitated toward the burgeoning Surrealist movement centered around the poet André Breton. He became close friends with artists like André Masson, Max Ernst, and poets of the movement. While he never formally became a doctrinaire surrealist, he absorbed their ideas, particularly the emphasis on the subconscious, dreams, chance, and automatism. That's the term they use for letting the hand move freely across the canvas without conscious control. It's automatic. Now, this immersion in the surrealist scene unleashed a radical transformation in his art. Realistic depiction gave way to a personal language of signs and symbols floating in ambiguous, dreamlike spaces. Stars, suns, moons, eyes, ladders reaching for the sky, simplified figures, biomorphic shapes suggesting insects or microbes. These things became like a recurring vocabulary for his visual poetry. Works like The Tilled Field or The Harlequin's Carnival exemplified this breakthrough period. He was creating a universe parallel to reality, fueled by memory, sensation, and the subconscious. He took a lot of inspiration from his dreams, and he spoke of wanting to go beyond easel painting to achieve a more direct, primal form of expression. He famously declared his desire to, quote, assassinate painting. But this wasn't a destructive sort of a thing. It wasn't nihilistic. He wanted to strip art bare to find an essential core beyond academic tradition. And in doing so, he showed us that art can be both deeply personal and universally resonant, both playful and profound. Miró's legacy goes far beyond the work we see in museums and galleries around the world. Sure, it may start there, but these idiosyncratic forms, the organic shapes, they become abstracted symbols, a form of communication. And like all communication, it's not just about the speaker, it's about what we receive, the ideas that it sparks. And so Miró's legacy is not just about the visual art, but also the idea of art as a language of freedom and play with the subconscious, forever inviting us to look deeper, beyond the surface of reality.
This concludes this week's episode of Who Arted, part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. If you found this tolerable, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find images of the work being discussed this week and every week on social media at Who Arted Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course on the website whoartedpodcast.com. Podcast done.